but the fact that the council
Do you have a view of everybody or not?
amalgamate our.
Go over here. Can you switch your view here? That one
Okay,
there
John.
to everyone.
We chaired their meeting.
Yep.
5:03.
All right, welcome everybody. Just had a little talk to Penella. You'll see that there's 3 or 4 of us here. I apologise for that, but that memo didn't get to us in regards to individually, but we'll work through it. Anybody else to come on, Penella, before we make a start?
You've got a quorum, so you're free to start now. We're just missing Councillor Marsh. I haven't received an apology, but he might just come in shortly.
Okay, all right.
Oh, there he is. Yes. Sorry. Insulting you, William.
All right, we'll get underway. Just going through the run sheet here. We'll declare the meeting open and obviously call for any apologies. You haven't got one from Kevin, so I can assume that he will click in sometime.
Yeah, he might just hop in a little bit late, but I haven't heard anything, so we don't need to pass anything.
No apologies. Okay, thank you. Consideration for late items, nothing on the agenda. Good as gold, and obviously the declarations of interest to the board members in regards to any of the upcoming items. If you have a conflict of interest, please make that clear before we proceed. 6 public excluded items, there's none. All right, so we'll move into public forum. And obviously, and we got any, I think I can see, that Max and Kathy, yep. Any others, Penella, that I need to make note of?
None that have popped on, Shane, that I'm aware of.
Okay, are we coming through? All right.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beauty. All right. All right. So names, I will need to use one written microphone. All right. So we'll move into public forum, and obviously, great to see you again, Max and Kathy. You're it again. You're old hands to this sort of public forum stuff. So as per usual, the floor is yours. So we'll look forward to hear what you got saying. So please go ahead and welcome.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Shane, did you guys at all get up to Pukemaori at all to have a look? Not
physically, Max. I have spoken to a couple of members in regards to it. We're talking about the mowing issue.
Yes.
Yes. I've spoken to a few. I've even had a little talk to a few others in regards to funding and bits and pieces. But no, if you're happy to talk on it, it would be a good thing.
Okay, I'll give a wee bit of history, just a little bit. Basically, back in 1990, which is a few years ago now, it was all cleared up there, and we set up a mowing scheme there to get it, have it mown all the time, and it was worked with the school mowing group because they were the easiest ones. They were right there. John Doggett was a contractor locally, but he said, look, it's better to use them, which we did do up till about 5 years ago or something. You guys in the know more than me on that one. I didn't realise that it slipped out of the system. You told me originally, Shane, you thought the money was going to mow on School Road, but it was actually to mow Pukemaori. So for the last so many years, it hasn't been mowed. I've been personally mowing it now for, I think, 3 to 4 years. I had to break it in from a jungle again. We've got it looking pretty good up there. It is a real piece of history, and I would encourage everybody that can to go up there and have a look. We probably go up now ourselves personally about 3 to 4 times a week. We take our older dog up for a walk as well as ourselves. And it's an amazing place up there. And so, I want to sort of try and keep it mowing, or we want to try and keep it mowing. I have actually paid for the mowing group twice to have it mowed to see what time was involved, money-wise. And it takes the guy about 30 minutes while he's up there. It takes me a wee bit longer because I've got to leave home and go up there. But anyway, it's about that time. So it's costing probably about $32 roughly a mow. So anyway, I'm trying to, I think before, and correct me if I've got it wrong, but I think they used to build a council and go through that scenario. this time around, we're trying to look at a grant, and I've been talking to Clef to do with the project committee, and I've sort of suggested that they apply for that grant, and then it gets passed on to the contractors as a grant thing. I think it's easier than the accountant billing the council every month or however it worked. So yeah, that's really what it is, to try and get it back into. It is it's certainly a big part of Maketu, and yeah, and as I say, I'd encourage everybody, if they can get up there, to get up there and have a look. And yeah, so okay.
Judy, thanks, Max. Kathy, want to add anything to it, or you just?
I know, I was just trying to do an onside whisper, which probably comes through the microphone, as to who was helping to maintain it up to the point that Max took it over. Was obviously the corrections department used to put the PD boys would go up there and scrub cut the edges and things like, you know, and keep it really quite as good as possible. But that seems to have fallen off the planet somehow in the system. And so when it got really bad, well, we thought, well, we've got to keep that thing, you know, going. So that's why we've done it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Great. Yeah, thanks for that, Max. Yeah, I've done a little bit of homework on that and looking at what had been done previous years and like sort of moving forward what we do. I totally agree with you. It's a pretty historical site and obviously needs caring and looking after. And yeah, there was a bit of a muck up several years ago when the mower, I think it was the school mowing type thing we thought, and that was going to mow the school edges and stuff like that. Then obviously new contracts come in where they had to be approved contractors, etc., to do the approved work. That contract at the time didn't have those qualifications, so it couldn't happen. So that's the reason it's sort of fallen over and not happened. But in saying that, how do we bring it back? I've looked at that. I'm glad you talked to the project team. I did have another talk to Clester as well about it. She said you'd talk to her. And it's lucky we have got the roading manager listening in on here, and he could correct me if I'm wrong. He may have a bit of money tucked aside that would be able to help us out in that predicament. I know some of the old rules were if it was private property, it was extremely hard to get ratepayers' money to maintain or mow private property. That's one of the reasons we lost School Road. Whether that's been changed now, I don't know, but it's a question we could probably ask Callum. Or secondary, I think you've nailed it on the head, possibly a grant. We have our reserves grants, and that could be a way of doing it. I think you're looking around about $700 a year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure, you know, an application to the board possibly might be another option. Do it. You may have to do it yearly. I'm not sure, but at least, you know, we might be able to get something there for you.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. Yeah, we'd sort of had a figure in our mind about $750. So no, it'd be excellent if something can happen that way. And I thought, being the grant system, it gets reviewed annually.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, it does and it doesn't. If it's coming out of reserves, it doesn't. It's not an ongoing payment. What I suggest is something similar when we looked after the Maketu swimming pool. They were doing an annual grant of $1,000 for chemicals every year, but they had to resubmit that every year for the board at the time to grant that. So yes and no, it is there. I know I'm answering a lot of questions and I possibly shouldn't do. And I know Callum was he cannot answer the questions either, but at least he too has heard your concerns, and I'm sure I'll have an off-screen conversation with him if there's something in our roading budget that could possibly help out, or if not, I think the conversation would be then possibly grants. But that's my point of view. Any questions from any of the other board members?
So that really covers that one, but Kathy has got a question she'd like to ask.
Just quickly, the bee poo situation. Robina and I have had response with Peniel on where it's got to, and I understand it's got to the compliance officer over there. Just the people who are concerned are asking, well, almost daily, how's it going, and things like that, or is it going to go, or is it just going to die, or everyone wants some light at the end of the tunnel as to, are we going to be doing the same thing we did in September, October as we were last year? And it just might not end that greatly. Yeah. So that's all. I just wonder if you'd had any, word back.
Shane, if I can through you, if you don't mind, I spoke with the acting general manager for regulatory services this afternoon, who informed me that a compliance officer had been out in the last few days, I believe, to have a talk to some residents and to the owner of the bees. My understanding from her update was that the owner had decreased the number of bees that they had on site and moved the bees further away from the boundary. There is nothing else from a compliance perspective at this stage that they can do. They have all the submissions, and part of their closing off is to respond to each individual that did make a submission. So they will be doing that in the coming week or so. So you'll hear from them directly.
Okay.
And it'll just be something that she noted would be monitored. And if the number of bees increased again or moved again, that this is something that they could look into.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Hopefully
Thanks,
that answers some of your questions.
Yes, it does, Shane. Thanks. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome. Anything to add, you two, or you're?
No.
Yeah, we're all
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. We'll leave you alone now.
All right. Hey, look, really appreciate you coming along and giving us your input tonight. And we wish you the best. And no doubt we'll keep talking, Max, about the mowing thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important. I'm sure the board will agree with me. And obviously the bee is an ongoing thing as well. So yeah, we'll definitely keep battling away for you.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Penella, I had Kalista Eru and a representative from Hawara. No one's made contact with you?
No one's registered through me, and I don't believe that we've got anyone else on. No, that's it.
All right. We'll move back into our meeting. I don't have to call for a move or a shaker, do I? We just go straight back in?
Correct, just straight back in.
All right. So number 8, minutes for confirmation, 8.1, pages 6 through to 15. Hopefully your community board members have got or read their minutes of last. All happy? All right, I'll call for a mover for those minutes to quick. Laura, seconder.
Yeah.
I got Stephen behind me, seconder. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you, team. Number 9, reports. Maketu Community Board Chairperson's reports. Hopefully you've all had the chance to read it. Can I take it as read, or would you like me to raise some of the bullet points? Take it as read, okay. Possibly Stephen, the last comment, the last paragraph. Do you want to add any to that? Molly?
Oh, is that about the sports field?
No. It's the board has expressed some concerns about vehicles parking on footpaths, housing, and vehicle access to skateboard. I'm sure they would like to clarify more at the meeting as daylight saving comes. So basically, was a bit of your stuff I put in my report. If you wanted to add to it.
Yeah, I do. I've had a few complaints about a truck and trailer parking up Ottawa F. I've taken a photo and sent it to the couple of Shane, and we want to know what the law is on parking on the footpath, and maybe we need to get the compliance person out here.
Callum, does that fit within your role, being the roading guy, in regards to transportation, footpaths, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I can tell you it is illegal to park on a footpath. it doesn't fall within my remit. I would need to speak to compliance people and see if they can get an officer out to do spot checks and ticket people parking on the footpath. I don't think you would get an immediate response if you did find somebody parking on the footpath. I do know that the government's introduced new legislation to tighten the rules around parking on berms and footpaths. So we're waiting for that legislation to come in, and that will give us some clarity around what the rules are moving forward.
The issue that we have with this particular person is its children are walking to school in the morning, and sometimes he's parking and they're having to walk out onto the road.
Yeah, I mean, it really needs enforcement. I mean, we could, we could, we could put up signs banning parking on the berm as well. But if he's not, if he's parking on the footpath, then he's unlikely to observe the rules around not parking on the berm. I mean, it's something we could look at. The other option, which would kind of be the last resort, is to put timber bollards in the berm to prevent vehicles from driving up onto the berm. But that's something that we would only do at the very last resort, because otherwise we end up with bollards all over the network.
I think as a council we need to talk about it, because he's not the only one. There are a few truck and trailers being parked in Maketu.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know, something we can do that will help them and help us at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree. As an issue, I mean, I used to work for Taronga City Council, and it's an issue for them as well. Even in the city, people parking on footpaths and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely an issue, and I'm happy to do some investigation and see what can be done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kellen. Laura's actually beside me, and one of the questions I want to add to my report was in regards to the vegetation. We're after a couple of prices for the to do the vegetation, one at the lookout and one on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that still on coming?
Yeah. The only problem with the top one is my boss feels that a digger clearance is better, because he feels that we're going to wipe it all out, right, with like chemical or whatever method we choose. But it's, unless you get the roots out, we're going to have to keep doing it. So you'd more or less need an ongoing budget for it. So he thinks that if you scraped it and get the roots out, that would then, be a lot better off. So that was my fault for not coming back to you to tell you that update and to move forward from there. But it sort of changed the whole quote. It changed everything. So that's why I didn't press on with that one.
So the digger part, is that outside your guys' scope of work?
No, it's not. We can still do all of that. We just need to know that monetary value would be there. It would be dearer because of that. But it would be cheaper in the long term. Do you know what I mean?
Are you happy with that, Kellen, if we pursue with a secondary quote for possibly digger doing some of the vegetational work?
If the board wants to look at spending more money to get a better result long term, then certainly the only difference is because you're looking to excavate within the road reserve, albeit disturb the ground. Really, we would need to understand what buried services they are, and then we would need to make plans to reinstate it with grass or something appropriate. So it's just a wee bit more approval required, review and approval required before you can work in the road reserve, but it's definitely still an option. Yeah.
All right, so it's still doable. So we'll have some more discussion on that and keep that topic open. Yes, Stephen, want to add?
I'd just like to talk about the parks and reserves. It was a good turnout on Saturday. The only sad part about it was the board and council were so far apart in what they were looking at Spence Ave, and people came down here with the expectations that we were on the same page as the council, and we weren't. And what we said in the long-term plan wasn't passed over to the reserve committee who were running the information back to the community, and what supported us and what we took to the 10-year plan was what was said on Saturday was exactly what we took to the 10-year plan. So that made us feel good. And when they found out that that's what we're supporting, they were happy. I'd just like to see if we can get a meeting on site with the Parks and Reserves, because of what our expectations of the sports ground behind the marae is. We want to push forward with that before we go over to Spencer Road, and maybe we can look at upgrading a item down in the main park, which was brought up on Saturday by a lot of people. It's just something that we should have a face-to-face with the Parks and Reserves people, so we can move forward on those. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. So you've noted that, Penella?
Yes, sorry.
Great, thank you. All right, if there's no further comments to my report, I'd like to move it. Have I got a seconder? John Scrivenger, second. If those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, people. The councillor's report, or nothing this time round?
No, didn't receive.
I could comment on a couple of things if you wanted.
All right, maybe can I get Councillor John Scrivenger just to comment on a couple of items for us?
We don't usually, because it's not an agenda item, so we're not usually allowed to.
Okay, no, fair comment. All right,
yeah,
we'll stay on track. All right, thank you. 9.2 infrastructure service report, Maketu Community Board, pages 18 through to 51.
Oh, no.
The site report can be taken as infrastructure, so normally we do like to go page by page.
2 pages on the same item.
Page 22.
You're not looking at bringing the food back up.
Surf Club Reserve. Yeah, there's a bit of double ups here and there when I went through it, but Surf Club Reserve. Okay. I'm a little bit concerned probably with the first one. The staff engaged in consultancy to prepare design sketches and work scope specifications. This is for the maintenance work to be done on the retaining wall in front of the surf club there, which is already existing. So I did have reservations. What we're doing is just repairing what's existingly there. So yeah, I think there's whether this is another stalling thing or not, I'm not too sure. So I'm a little bit concerned about when they start asking for designs and stuff. I believe that should have been already in the existing resource consent, all those sketches, plans, and all the bits and pieces. All we're doing is either repairing or replacing the sandbags, or repairing or replacing the steps existing, nothing else. So I do question that one.
So that's the on this, Shane?
Sorry?
That's happening, isn't it?
No, it
It's
says here.
saying that it's.
No, but it's just something else.
sketches and blah, blah.
Is this something else?
Yeah.
No, or they want to like fix it within the consent, so they don't have to go through Bible.
We've got two on the Maketu boat ramp. The board noted the bottom end of the Maketu boat ramp was undermined, like see work done. I did pick it up further on that they'd done some coastal erosion type review, and it picked it up that the boat ramp was in need of works, but deemed it to be satisfactory. I too question what they deem as satisfactory when we're putting 9-10 ton boats and trailers over it, just how satisfactory it's going to be and for how long that's going to last. So maybe a question to Parks and Reserves on that one. We've closed the one with Stephen with the stop signs. You happy with that, Stephen?
Very good.
The cycleway.
Do they want to talk on
You want
Callum, the cycleway now, just correct me if I, have you inherited this baby off Gary Ellis?
Yes,
You
I have.
have.
Yep.
All right. There were detailed plans of stage 2 because I was part of that consultation when we took it to the public. It was brought out on the paper on the tables here in this specific room. It was about 10 pages long. They sellotaped it all together and it showed the complete cycle track from basically the Kaituna all the way to Spencer Ave.
Yep.
Has that been changed yet again? Because I'm a little bit concerned when they start to say that they're looking at other different designs. Is there something I've missed?
No, I believe the comments are with respect to the culvert extension, which is needed to facilitate the cycleway completion. We've recently received a lot of information from Western Bay, and we're just working our way through that information and just to make a list of things that need to be done before we can actually get into the culvert extension. To do a job like that, I wouldn't try and attempt it with any time except the height of summer. The reason being that the water conditions and the weather conditions would just make it too difficult, too hazardous, too much risk associated with trying to put in a new culvert and encountering flood conditions. So really that gives us a timeline of about 9 months to try and sort out all the paperwork and then get a contractor in to do the work.
Yeah, well, my biggest concern, Callum, is when we're lumping the two together. We're talking cycleway and culvert, but the reality they are two separate things. The culvert issue's been running for many years, and it's relevant to the flooding in Maketu. So hence we went through the consultation with the public. We agreed with EBOP in regards to them part paying the culvert. We've even negotiated about the fish-friendly gates and stuff like that. So that was more to do with the stormwater issue of getting that culvert in place. I feel we shouldn't be blackmailed or bribery in saying, well, the cycleway's got to happen in conjunction with the culvert. I believe they're two totally separate things, but do work together. The culvert itself could go in, I believe, at any time. When I read through the document, it did state that the resource consent and all that had been approved, so we haven't got that objection anymore from our friends.
No, we don't, but we still need to meet the conditions of the consent, and that requires some work. I mean, if you want to extend the cycle path to Spencer Ave, then we could do that now. But if you want to extend it further towards the Marae, then that you need to have the culvert extension done for that to happen.
Yeah, because it crosses over the road just before that culvert extension, if I look at the original plans.
So I'm just looking at my map here. Yeah, but I mean, the logic's the same. It doesn't matter what side of the road it's on. You would still need to have the culvert extension in. Otherwise, there's insufficient room to put a cycle path in there.
Yeah, they do go hand in hand.
I mean, if you want to extend the cycle path to Spencer Ave, then I can look at you getting a price off our contractor to do that for you, and then have another phase to do the remaining section up to the Marae. Is that what you want to do?
Personally, that would be me. I would have to consult with the board, but I believe any progress is better than no progress.
Yeah, totally.
So I would like to see exactly what you've just said, to be honest.
Yeah, so I can get a price. I mean, it doesn't require a resolution to get a price from a contractor, I don't think, and then I was just presenting the price, and you can decide whether you want to pass a resolution to accept the price. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I've got 3 others here that are happy with that. So yes, if you can proceed with that, that'd be much appreciated.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. That's no problem.
Thank you. Barbecue. William, are you online, William?
Yep.
Have you had any luck with the letter to the Chair of Trust Lakes for the barbecue?
Yep. So we've got a verbal approval, and they're going to give a letter for approval for that.
Great, good move. All right.
Well
So
done.
we're very well done.
Yeah.
So obviously, if we can get something in writing, would be beneficial. Transport Manager. So yeah, thank you for coming out the other day, Callum, and going through with us with the roading bits of issues and bits and pieces. So in your plan, that's cool. Spencer Ave levelling. I'm in two minds whether we're shutting off Spencer Ave. I know the resource consent's gone through. We've got the go-ahead for the levelling and we've got the go-ahead of putting clean fill into it. Even see Peter Watson's even commented that there's an ongoing budget for levelling of that fill, which is great. I'm just mindful, is the board happy to close that off, or do we keep it open? Any comments from the board?
Keep it open and be
Yeah. I think if we can keep it open, Penella, the Spencer Ave one, just for any possibly ongoing issues or moving forward. We're yet to see a lot of this fill come in, and obviously the levelling and contractors and doing the work in bits and pieces. We've obviously got that wetlands component of the Spencer Ave 2 that we mindfully have to work around. So it's probably best we keep it open in my view.
Okay, just to let you know that there is a second minute action sheet for the Spencer Avenue reserve levelling on page 41. So that's your main one that'll remain open.
Right.
So this one's just a secondary one.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. My apologies.
No, it's fine.
All right, that's cool.
I've got a question about this one. Why does it talk about pest control and then it talks about a boat scene that's completed and blah, blah, blah. It's got nothing to do with the same thing. That should never be on the same line.
Yes, it was. It's under my report.
Yeah, but like totally separate issues, eh? The development side, not us, but the pest control thing is still ongoing. Because no one's done anything.
They assured me that there was no issues with pest control.
Well, Matt lives right there next door and he can see all the rabbits burrowing through the blue.
On page, was it 18?
18, yes. That's strange. I'll try and get him to get some evidence of it. Because he reckons there's rabbits burrowing through the blue.
We're just conversation on the cemetery development and pest control on page 18. Laws raised in regards to the pest control. I've had it only told to me verbally by Parks and Reserves that there isn't a pest control, but there a pest problem. But Laura's informing me there still is one.
There's a huge rabbit problem there, and I suppose it's ongoing because of the farmland and all the rest at the back of the corn maze and whatever, but I offered a while back to see if we could put bait stations there for Pindo, because we do that anyway, like as our business, and we would fully inform, you know, all the residents, all that. They'd be in controlled stations where it's not easy for children or animals, other animals to get it. And we would even go up and just lay them and just not even charge anyone, as long as there's no rabbits burrowing through our tupuna that are in the cemetery. It's just that one of the neighbours next door says every night he sees them all out there when he's outside.
So if we can keep that one open, please, Penella, and obviously we'll touch base with Sue Hammond on that one.
Yeah, who do I need a clearance from to do that?
Sue Hammond.
Okay.
All right. Happy?
Yeah.
Moving on. Page 46. Relocation. Well, there actually should be installation of CCTV cameras. Who did I speak to? Gary Ellis, I think, in regards to our budget. We had some money for cameras and we put that through our long-term plan and actioning on that. So I have done. I've got Tarnex coming out at 9:30 on Tuesday coming to look at location, workability, and obviously pricing. So we'll keep that one updated. And that's all cool. Page 50, Maketu Communities Board reports. It was in regards to do with the Maketu Community Centre here. the refurbishment of the Maketu Community Centre, which is now 99% complete. Spoke to the head coordinator, David Campbell. He's saying there's only a couple of items missing. One is a bit of signage in regards to you have to have two things saying where the toilet is, and the countertop for the servery. There's a temporary one there, but that will be put back on. I also questioned in regards to whiteboards and notice boards. They were in the existing building. He told me they were beyond repair and would not make the new place look any good by putting them up, which I totally agreed with. He is going to look at some other funding when he returns from overseas in regards to a couple of whiteboards and a notice board going up there. So we're looking there. It did get a final inspection on Friday, I believe it. So that came and got sorted out. Been brought to my attention by the building manager who's looking after this building on behalf of the Community Board and Western Bay District Council, Wendy McFadden, that it was time to obviously look at a new agreement in regards to the usage of the building. So we had a three-way meeting, obviously with Rotary, Wendy and myself as a delegate from the board here to look at how we can implement something straight away, because there are lots of people that are wanting to use this building. Well, some of the older users, obviously, that have been hanging out, waiting to get back together, and obviously new users moving forward. So we've come up with a bit of a plan moving forward in regards to the usage and hireage of the building. So I'll read it briefly. It's not a big document, but it's a working document. It's something I think we can implement straight away and get the ball rolling. Then obviously, if the board wants to add to it or whatever, they can do. So we start off with basically the usage of the hireage and basically charges as follows. A lot of conversation went around and a lot of background went into looking at it, i.e. The previous users of the building, and we went back several years looking at who uses the building and who would like to probably in the future use the building. Now it's obviously a much bigger, better and brighter place with a lot more facilities. So we went through it. So we broke it down into basically three different categories of what we would call people that would use or hire the building. There's obviously some that we're looking at a no charge or a free charge. These are people that have obviously had existing contracts within the building and obviously ones that have been doing up the building, et cetera, et cetera. So the ones who are looking at the free of charge, obviously they still have to go through the booking system, but they won't be charged a fee as such. It'll be more of a donation on behalf of ourselves. The free ones would be obviously Maketu Rotary, who have invested a considerable of time and labour into the upgrade. The Maketu Fire Brigade, that dates back to originally when the building was put in place as a joint building to coincide with their existing premises. Hence, the building is so close to the fire station. That's what that was. So we will keep on with that abiding contract. Maketu Coast Guard. Maketu Coast Guard interest is obviously the building in front of the Maketu Community Centre where they house their the ambulance and a few other bits and pieces there. The Maketu Community Board, obviously it's us in regards to the usage of the building for our workshops, meetings, etc., etc. Another freebie we look at and have been using it is the Maketu project team. They're still up and running and going, and obviously have used this facility quite a few times over many, many years there. And obviously, last but not least, is obviously probably the official owners, which are the Western Bay Plenty District Council, and that would be for whatever usage they felt fit that they needed the building for. So that fits under the free category. The next category up is a $20 fee. So we had quite a bit of discussion onto what we charge people, how we're going to recoup, well, not so much recoup the money, but actually make it pay for itself. So it used to be a $10 fee. It's now doubled 100% to a $20 fee. People that are eligible for that particular fee will be any incorporated societies, not-for-profit groups, farm trusts will use it, church groups, the Bledisloe Park Board use it, and basically any other volunteer groups within our Maketu area. So they would be expected to pay a $20 fee for the usage of the building. Last but not least was the bigger fee. We've agreed that, we looked at other buildings within and around Maketu where people have hosted meetings, events, whatever the case may be. There's a $50 fee, and that's for any commercial organisations. Example, DHB, the roading outfit, which I can never pronounce their name. That's the one, John. Yep, and those sort of people that wanted to use it for whatever reasons. We'll put down here family events. That could be anything from a christening to a get together to whatever. Celebrations. Clester Eru has quite a few celebrations throughout Maketu at different times of the year, and groups possibly could have that usage of it. Cinemas, and last but not least is obviously expos. We run a few expos and stuff out there. So that's more the bigger group that would pay the $50. So those are the three categories. Is there any questions so far?
What about the local groups? Where do they fit in?
Well, they'll fit in one of those. If they're not for profit or incorporated societies or just want to grab for a meeting, they'll fit in there. Cool. And obviously, if we move forward, we had to put a few little guidelines and highridge rules in it to keep the building safe and secure as we move forward. We anticipate it's obviously going to be a lot more popular now that we could probably fit. I think we estimate anywhere between 50 to 60 people in here compared to 12, 15, 20 we did last time. So we've tripled the size basically. So we've got here highridge rules, and the hiring of includes the building, car park, and adjacent green area. So we're obviously looking at the building that we're inside today. Obviously, the car park, we park our cars, and there's an adjacent green area that's basically sitting out there, not being used or utilised. That can be done. We've asked the questions, why would they like that? There's been quite a few groups that have wanted to put out pop-up little marquees and things like that and do a bit of show and tell. I think one was Saturday, wasn't it? You had with the council. So that's cool. The hiring of is you can do a day hire, evening hire, or an hourly hire. All right, so that's it. So talking to the manager that's running the building, quite often she'll get groups that want it between 12 and 3 during the day. On exactly the same day, the ukulele club wants it from 7 till 9 at night. So they'll be doing that. The hiring of the premises will include the kitchen, crockery, and utensils are included in the hire. So rather than saying a two-price hiring system, we've all agreed that the kitchen, the facilities, all that's here, that's part of the hire. The other one also includes power, gas, heat pump, overhead projector, Wi-Fi, furniture, and the whiteboards. So there's no sort of confusion of what they're hiring. If they want it for a meeting, they have the usage of all that stuff there. The building and surrounds must be left clean and tidy. A cleaning fee may be charged. I think that's self-explanatory. The building and car park area for hired groups is totally alcohol and smoke free. Just to get your head around that, one of the biggest issues we had previously to this was obviously people from Rotorua coming over to have a 3-year-old birthday party, but the reality it was all the adults meeting up and having a big hoo-ha. All right, so we felt that to solve 99% of the problems, ban the alcohol. And it's really here for groups and meetings and that. It's not a party central. The Fisherman's Club, the Gentleman's Club, other groups like that can cater for that sort of activity. So that's where we've done there. You may ask why the word for hired groups is. It's only to cover the likes of Rotary, who hire the place for free, will be allowed to have their wine with their dinner on their Wednesday meetings.
So I can smoke in the cupboard because we do it for free too. That smells lovely.
All right. Getting through it, the building manager can alter council bookings as required. So again, we've had to do that a few times when a couple of different groups have had it on a Tuesday night and it's conflicted with a community board meeting. We've had to switch things around. So that gives the manager the powers to be able to change that. Last but not least, we had a huge conversation in regards to the payments. You know, it's a tricky one, but we've agreed to stay the status quo. We don't believe it's a huge amount. So payment for hire is cash only, and it's deposited into an envelope into a wooden box, which it has been for the last 3 or 4 years. So we're happy to continue with that. What happens is the manager collects all the funds and over time sends it back to council, and council banks it in whatever bank they feel fit. So there we have. So I'd like to adopt those rules and regulations if the board is happy with that.
Yep.
Happy. I've got the thumbs up from 4 here. William, there, John. All right.
Kevin.
And Kevin, who's not here. All right. So I'll email those to you, Penella, if we can, and we can introduce those sooner than later.
Yeah, perfect.
Beauty. Thank you. I think we're just about there, people. In fact, that was the last one on the infrastructure. No, it wasn't. It was the infrastructure. So no other further comments on the infrastructure report? We're all good. Can I have a move and a seconder for that?
Yeah.
Laura, seconded. John, those in favour say aye.
All right.
Against? Carried. Thank you. All right, 9.3, Maketu Community Board Financial Report, February, page 52 to 55. Yeah.
Do you have to pick up the reef?
No, that gets delivered.
Oh, cool.
Right, so I've got 200 for the reef. If I can just carry on with the Anzac thing, normally I think we tried to push through the annual grant of $500 to the Anzac committee, which went towards food on the day. I had a meeting with the Anzac committee yesterday. They have confirmed to me that it's a downgraded Anzac this year. They are taking away the parade and they're taking away the food element. It's strictly just the what do you call it, John? The service.
Yeah.
So they would like to withdraw any application for financial assistance for food.
Yeah, no, that I didn't receive a grant application from them, so that's fine.
Okay. All right. I went through that. No, a good thing I can say is thank you so much for clarifying the money in brackets. That's been confusing to me for many, many months now, but you have explained and fully what it is, and obviously there is an underspend on a couple of our items, so that's now gone back into our reserve account, which is good. So hopefully the board can keep those projects moving.
Is that the cost of the cost?
Yeah, so it basically says the payment of XYZ went,
From
and
this year's financial.
and it says that it's been completed, so that's fine. Is there any further questions on the financial report? I'll just have a move in a second. Is that they're true and accurate? Oh,
Did you get William's name in?
William, you want to move that, mate? Yep. Big move from William. Seconder.
Yeah.
Stephen. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.4, pages 57 to 59. We're running out of pages, so it's got to be close. So obviously our next meeting, which is that's 12th of April. It's tonight.
7th of June.
June, is it?
Yeah, page 58, bottom of page 58.
Oh, I get last one. Okay. 10th of June. To stop confusion, do you think there'll be a bit of face-to-face there, John, or are we going to go Zoom? Too early to tell.
As soon as we come out of red, is my understanding? Yep.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Thank you for that clarification. All right. Move on seconded for that.
Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah.
Seconded. William. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And that's no further business. I'll declare the meeting closed. I haven't got a clock, but no doubt you have.